Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mills. I make videos about expat life in Dominican Republic and a bunch of other stuff. Today we are doing a video interview, as you can see, and we have a guest. She's going to tell us all about life, expat life in Spain. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to us.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Claudia and my channel is Catching Claudia. I specialize in videos about living abroad, travel, and lifestyle. So yeah, I'm super excited to do this interview with you.
Thank you. And I will put Claudia's channel in the description for you guys that want to check her out. Please do. We'll be doing a little video like part 2 on her channel, or part 1, or however you want to call it.
Yeah.
So make sure to check her out too. But first, we'll just jump right in. Can you tell us about like where you're from and how you ended up in Spain specifically?
Yeah, of course. So I'm from Newport News, Virginia, and I went to school in North Carolina. And so I actually never had interest in Spain until I realized I wanted to study abroad my junior year of college. And my mom was like, I'm not paying for anywhere where you're not learning a language, specifically Spanish. So I was like, okay, let's see where is there somewhere that speaks Spanish. And so my school, they were going to Spain that summer. So I ended up in Granada for the month of July in 2018. So that was a really cool experience. And like I said, I never had interest at first. But then when I was there, I just fell in love with the language again. And I fell in love with the culture and just their way of life. So when I came back, I ended up hopping on, getting a second minor in Spanish at my school, well, Hispanic studies. Because I was just like, wow. After hearing it every day, it was just like, wow, I kind of understand it still. So I should probably just try to be better and actually get better at the language. So then fast forward, the next year, I was looking for jobs because I was about to graduate from college. And one of my friends, well, first my mom mentioned it in that December, but the applications weren't open. So one of my friends later in, say, March, was talking about how she was going to apply to the Auxiliares de Conversación in Spain. And I was like, okay, that sounds really cool. Why not just apply? I don't know if I'm gonna go, because I kind of was just at that point where it's like, do I want to start a real career?
I know.
Do I want to go to Spain? Do I want to travel the world? Like, these are both my dreams. What do I do? But it kind of ended up that she convinced me, and then she convinced one of our other friends. And I convinced one of our other friends to apply. And then we convinced this other friend. And so it was crazy because this program, it places you in the country. You say what 3 regions you want to be in. It's crazy because we all ended up in the same region.
Thank goodness. Be like the one that was like across the country. Like,
yeah, that was my fear. I was like, okay, if we're gonna do it, I don't, I didn't put on my application anyone's name. So I was like, I'm probably going to be placed by myself and I'm a little scared, but we'll just see what happens. And then one of the friends that she convinced wrote my name on her application that I didn't know about.
That's funny.
And she ended up getting placed about 15 minutes from where I got placed. So I was like, this is clearly something that I have to do. There's no way that I would ever have an opportunity again that 4 of my close friends also are going to be in the same region in a different country. So that's how I ended up in Spain.
That's so cool. So were you a teacher? Is that like a teaching program?
Yeah, it's a teaching program. So I was a language assistant, and I primarily worked with primary school students up until 5th grade. Or actually 6th grade. And so I believe they were in 6th grade. I can't really remember, but they were great. I loved it. It was so fun.
Were you teaching English?
I wasn't the main teacher. I was the assistant. So I really had to, at my school, kind of tell them what I could do. They weren't really, I'm not going to say they weren't prepared, but they didn't really need me, They were
Okay.
quite capable without me.
Yeah.
So I kind of was like, I could teach them.
Yeah.
So we could do reading together. We can do this. We could do that. And so we were finally getting into a flow of them coming to read to me, and just seeing where they were. And then with the older ones, I specialized in American culture because I just felt like they were super curious about it. And
Yeah.
so I taught them about Halloween, which they loved. I taught them about cheerleading and football, which they
Oh,
loved
yeah, I
because
guess
it's just not, yeah,
thing.
they don't have it. So they were like,
Yeah.
so I specialized with culture with them a lot, and a lot of language, getting the
Yeah.
rules with the little ones.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. So did the program like place you in an apartment, and what was your housing like?
So the program, they did not place me in an apartment. I actually had to find my own. And
That's
so what I ended up doing, since my friend lived, or her school was in a town that was 15 minutes away,
Mhm.
we ended up picking a town in the middle.
That's perfect.
And so we both, our schools helped us find someone from the school who would drive us to the
Oh,
town,
okay. Nice.
because that area, which is Benidorm, Spain, which I hadn't heard of, but apparently it's a huge British tourist
Oh,
destination.
wow.
Very different from the typical Spanish experience that I was
Okay.
expecting, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was so cool. So a lot of people lived there and would commute to these little towns. So
Yeah.
mine was more of a beach town, and my friend, the school she was in the mountains and
Oh,
commuted there.
awesome. Not
So
too,
yeah,
she could still get to the beach in like 20 minutes or so.
yeah, we
Okay.
lived 10-minute walk from the beach, not even.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. Cost of living really spoiled me over there. Now I'm looking
Yeah.
for housing here and I'm like, oh.
What was the cost of living, like roughly, like how much is like a 2-bedroom apartment or
So
something?
in Benidorm, it was a little bit more expensive because it is again, I didn't know it was a
I've never.
touristy area for British people, and also almost like a retirement area
Okay.
for them. So a lot of older population, a lot of apartments. And so for us, we paid 600 still and split the cost down the middle to
Okay.
live in a
Yeah.
2-bedroom. Well, it was technically 3 bedrooms, but we didn't have access to the third because
Okay.
they just used it as storage.
Okay.
But 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, um, nice living room, 2 balconies,
Yeah.
close walk to the beach, grocery store next door.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was like, this is great. I don't think it'll ever get better than
No.
this.
No.
Versus one of my friends in that group, she
Mhm.
got placed in another town that wasn't touristy. She had a 4-bedroom apartment for I think 650 and split that with a friend.
That's awesome.
So it was very, very affordable.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you don't have to say like exact amounts if you don't want to, but how was like the pay from the school? Like, was it enough to cover that, or did you kind of have to like have a side job, or like, you know?
So my one complaint, really, the pay is, you in that area,
Mhm.
especially if you end up say in the town like my friends they were living in, everything relatively is inexpensive. So we were getting paid because Valencia is more expensive. We were getting paid 1,000 a month, which is livable.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what am I paying? Like 300 for rent, and then Wi-Fi. Which was we split everything down the middle. So with everything paid for, we I think had 400 still left a month.
Yeah. That's
The
not
only issue is that they didn't pay us on time until about
good.
December. Well, December for me, I think January for my roommate. So that's when it got a little tricky because we're like
Yeah.
trying to pull from our savings
Yeah.
in the United States. But after that, once they started paying on time, it's super affordable.
Yeah, that's crazy. So 1,000 there is like really good because in DR at least I got paid 400 a month.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which is depressing. And that was like a really good salary for like compared to like a local teacher. So like it's just but the cost of living is cheaper than Spain too. So like my
Yeah.
apartment, well, in the town where I was getting paid, it was like nothing basically because it was 30
Really?
people. It was like $50, literally.
Oh wow, yeah,
It's
that's
a joke.
definitely a big difference.
Yeah. But I mean, that's awesome. That's like a pretty decent salary for, for teaching and like being in a touristy location. I think that's
Yeah, it was really good. I would say, I guess, or it was so good that when I went to a different place, and this was when I first went,
mhm.
when I noticed how great the cost of living. We
Yeah.
went to Paris, and I was like, I want to go back to Spain. I'm tired. I feel broke here. I
Yeah.
want to I want to spend my money and not
Yeah.
not spend so much money.
Yeah.
So even just little things like groceries, I realized there are a lot of things about America that we need to fix, but I don't know how to. So produce, for example, so inexpensive. I was like a kid in
Really.
the candy store.
Oh,
Yes, it was just like you can get 10 oranges for less than a euro. I'm just like,
what?
wow. Yes, it was that part was the most exciting for me because would
Yeah.
just go in that section and grab whatever. And
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, €2 for grapes or something.
Wow, that's
Oh
awesome.
my gosh, so expensive. But in
Yeah.
reality, it's
It's
not at
not.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The in DR, it's the same. If it's like local produce, if it's anything
Yeah.
imported, then it's more expensive. But like local, it's so cheap, which is nice because here it's like, you know,
Ridiculous.
yeah, not cheap at all. What were like your what was your like favorite thing about Spain specifically? Like whether it's the culture or like where you were? Yeah, answer that first, and then I'll ask what you did like.
So where I lived in Benidorm. Benidorm is a beach town. Beach, it's like beach and city and then mountains in the background. So it was gorgeous. So I had to walk home from the bus stop, which stopped in the middle of the town. So I had like a 2 mile walk.
Oh
And I
wow.
would just walk down the beach
Yeah.
every day. The weather, I think the coldest it got was maybe 30, and that might have been December. And so that particular area, I guess, is a microclimate. So the
Okay.
mountains block the wind from the
Oh,
other
that's
areas.
cool. So
So it was
30
always warmer.
Fahrenheit? Did you feel safe like walking home 2 miles and like being out? Like, do you think that you could be out at night alone, or were you like kind of reserved?
I definitely felt like I could be out at night by myself. Of
That's
course, my family, when I would be outside on FaceTime,
like
it
what?
would be like, go in the house. What are you doing? But I felt really safe. I mean, my I lived next to a really nice park.
Okay.
But even if I walked down to the beach or something,
Yeah.
I felt safe. Sometimes I would try to change my route just because you don't know when, who's watching.
Yeah,
And
that's
for
smart.
me, being a Black person in the area,
Yeah.
I'm pretty noticeable. So I tried to definitely switch it up a little
Yeah.
bit, but I felt safe.
That's good. Awesome. So were you, this is probably a dumb question, but like definitely like a minority there? Like,
Absolutely. It's definitely, there are more Black people. Where
okay.
I was, I did make a video about racism in Spain, which I do want to make a kind of follow up about that because of course, that's the one that people watched,
Yeah.
and all my other videos, I'm talking about how much I love it, but people,
No, trust me.
So,
I get it.
but yeah, so I was definitely a minority. In my area, even I think I still saw more than other people, more Black people.
Okay.
And Benidorm did have, I saw like a braiding shop, which I was like, wow, okay, that's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't really see who the clientele would be. But I was like, that's cool that it exists.
Yeah.
But it was me, my roommate, and
Okay.
then I was definitely glad to have her.
Yeah.
I was stared at a lot, which I was kind of expected, but I mean, sometimes it would be like, okay, I want to be invisible sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah. Were they
But
like, oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, go ahead. No.
I was gonna ask if like, cause I've talked about it in DR, like for guys, I mean, girls always stare too, like everyone there stares, but the guys who are trying to like hit on you or something, they'll just like, they'll be like, but they never like, they don't really like follow you or grab you or anything. But I know in other places like Italy, I've heard like they'll literally grab you. Did you
Oh my
feel
goodness.
like, were they like really forward, or were they just like, okay, everyone's staring at me and it's annoying? Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't even say anyone was very forward. I would
Okay.
say a little bit more reserved, I noticed.
Okay.
I did get catcalled a couple times walking home,
Yeah.
or walking to the point where I would meet the people who drove me to
Yeah.
school. And that, I mean, it made me feel a little uncomfortable because
Yeah.
I'm like, what did they say?
Yeah.
But often it was, yeah, I felt even with that, I still felt safe. It was more so the fact of just kind of being stared at because I'm definitely different.
Yeah. What was like hard in your transition, or what is something that like you didn't like?
The thing I really didn't like, but I got used to,
Yeah.
I would almost, I guess, culture shock. But just America's very convenient, and I did not. You really have to schedule a lot. So if I want to go to the grocery store, I need to make sure I'm there before it closes because there's
Okay.
not a Walmart that's open 24
24/7.
hours or
Yeah.
something,
Okay.
or a convenience store that's open 24 hours. And then another thing, which I think is better once I got used to it, but
Mhm.
just siesta, planning around that. And then things like I went to the bank on the Saturday, or I guess Friday, they close early.
Mhm.
I got there maybe 10 minutes before it closed, and they're like, we're closed, you can't come in.
Yeah.
Versus in the US, if you come in the minute before it closed, they still have to serve you.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh man, I guess I have to leave work earlier to get this
Yeah.
done if I'm gonna do
That's,
that. So that was really, I guess, just convenience
mhm.
for things that I'm used to being convenienced for was
Yeah.
a change, and it was a little something I didn't like. Other than that, I really, yeah, I liked most of it. I mean, I think they have a great culture, and it's very laid back, and it value their family, value their
Yeah.
free time. Love that.
Really nice. The same in DR, and I was always like, why are like so many things like I feel like when you go abroad that you're like when you come back you want to change about here because you're like
Hmm.
we work so much. Like the siesta, I'm like that's incredible. Like why can't we do that?
Having that built into your life, even if you don't participate in siesta or something,
Yeah.
just having that time where you can be home, you can take that 30 minutes to rest, clean
Yeah.
up, and that's just built into the schedule. Whereas I know some people might find that annoying. Once I adapted to it, I definitely was like, this is great. Like, I love that I have this little bit of time, and then the stores reopen at 6, and I just go get my groceries or do whatever
Yeah.
after that.
Why did you leave, and do you have plans to go back or to move abroad again?
So I left Spain because of
Okay.
COVID-19. Definitely would have stayed, but it kind of was getting a little scary, the
Yeah.
idea of not being able to leave. And I think that's always what makes, for me, made the idea of going abroad okay, because
Mhm.
it's like I can always come home.
Right.
But when they started closing, when countries around us started closing borders and
Yeah.
weren't letting planes from Spain leave, that started getting really scary. And just the thought of, okay, I'm going to be in this apartment for who knows how long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I'm an ocean away from my family. And say I got it, I don't, I've never had at that point, I mean, I don't know. You remember last year, we didn't know much
No. Like
about it.
I thought it was gonna be like a month, and then
Yeah, we didn't know much about it at all. So it was like, to know now, I'm glad I made the decision, even
yeah.
though, of course, America has just done terribly with this whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the fact of being in an apartment across the world from my family. And then the other part, my mom, she was actually living abroad as well in
Oh,
Brazil, and the people she was working for sent them home.
wait,
And so
that's so cool. Your mom sounds so cool, first of all.
she, she's so brave because she does not know Portuguese, but she got a job offer and she's like, I'm gonna go.
Wow.
So they sent them home, and once they sent them home, because she was gonna stay there, she was like, okay, I think you should come home.
Yeah.
Because if they think that we should go home, I then,
Yeah, it's like a sign.
yeah, maybe we
You
should.
never know, like, if the medical care is like where and you're like speaking Spanish and like there's just so many different like variables. I feel like that was a good decision.
Yeah, it was just a really scary time at
Yeah.
that moment. And then do I plan on going back? I would love to visit. I would love to live there as well. Right now, I am looking for a remote job so that I have that flexibility, and I'm in school online, so
Okay.
I've left that open for myself. But as of right this second, I still am not comfortable being, an ocean away from my
Right.
family
Right.
with COVID-19, just out there, just for the fact of what if something happens to one of my family members
Yeah.
and I can't come home.
Yeah. That's
Um, but yeah, other than that, I really loved living abroad, and I think people should do it. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things about my own country. It opened my eyes to my personal biases and
yeah.
things like that. And so it was such a learning experience. On top of the fact, I really wanted to get better with my speaking,
Yeah.
and I even just being there, it was like flowing for me.
Oh, I
Even
bet.
I'm not that brave when it comes to speaking, and I want to be perfect, but the fact of just hearing it every day, it just
Yeah.
became natural because I already had the background of studying it in
Yeah.
school, but it just never we were writing papers, we were doing all these things except speaking. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's what I need.
Yeah, and it's just like you're immersed in it and you kind of like have to speak it at the store and stuff. So
Exactly.
that always helped me like kind of just being like surrounded because I'm the same. I'm like, oh, I sound dumb, but like you don't really have a choice. So I'm like, all
Oh,
right,
you
I
don't
guess
have a choice.
yeah,
And it's better to try than try to speak in English and hope they understand
yeah,
you. Like at the end of the day, it's a respect thing. You're in their country, you need
yeah,
to speak their language. Or
yeah.
that's how I felt. So
No, I agree. I agree.
yeah.
That's awesome. Wow, that's so cool. So I'm sure if you do go back abroad, you'll be putting it on your channel and stuff and like making
Yeah, for sure.
perfect. So, guys, make sure you are sub to her. Again, the link is in the description. So you can check her out and make sure you head over to her channel to watch my interview there. And we're going to be talking about a different topic. So, yeah, don't miss out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Claudia, for coming on. And if you guys have any questions, I'm sure Claudia would be willing to answer them in the comments if you see any
Yeah,
like
for sure.
thank you so much. And we will see you guys soon.
Bye.